Alright, so today we're going to do a word problem for grade level 5, and it's going to be adding of fractions with unequal denominators referring to the same whole. Alright, so let's start with our I can statement for the day. I can represent and solve addition and subtraction of fractions with unequal denominators referring to the same whole. With that, so let's start with our problem, our word problem here. Of the cookies sold at Liz's Bakery, half were chocolate chip cookies and 1/6 were sugar cookies. What fraction of the cookies sold were chocolate chip and sugar cookies? Alright, after reading our question, we need to go back and let's just read the question part. What fraction of the cookies sold were chocolate chip and sugar cookies? So now we need to think, what is the question asking us? What do we need to find? We are looking for the fraction that represents the number of chocolate chip and sugar cookies. So we're going to need to add our fraction given up here that represents chocolate chip cookies, which is 1/2. We're going to be adding that to our 1/6 that represents the number of sugar cookies. So now we know that our question, what we need to figure out, is going to be 1/2 plus 1/6. So we're going to start by using a set model and using our pattern tiles. So first, we're going to decide that our hexagon is going to be our whole up here. So let's go back to what are fractions. Fractions are a part of a whole, and they involve breaking a whole into equal sized pieces. So we need to remember that our numerator, which is our number on top, is how many parts of the whole that we're interested in. And our denominator, which is the number on bottom, is the number of equal sized groups the whole is divided into. So let's first start by representing our half. So we need to look at our denominator, and that's 2. So we know that we need to find a shape up here that's the same as our hexagon, but cut in 2. So as we're looking up here, these trapezoids, if you put them together, it takes 2 to make a hexagon. So let's look up here, and we only need one of them because we're only interested in one. So let's take 1, we'll put it right underneath. That's our 1/2. And we'll be adding that to our 1/6. You need to find a shape up here. It takes 6 of these little triangles to equal one hexagon, one of our whole. So, look back, we are only interested in one. So let's take one of our triangle, put it here. So, now as we look at this, we see that they're not the same shape. So how are we going to figure this out? What about looking up here and seeing if we have a number of triangles that also represent our trapezoid up here. So as we have these side by side, we can see these are the same. And it takes 3 triangles to equal one trapezoid. So let's move these 3 down here. We're just creating another problem down here. Well, the same problem, just represented with triangles. So let's add our 1 triangle here. So now we can see that our 3, there's 3 here, and how many take to equal a whole? 6. It's going to be added to our 1 triangle, which is 1/6. So a misconception that some students have is they automatically just think that 1/6 is going to be bigger than 1/2 just because there's a 6 here and there's a 2 here. Which number is bigger between a 6 and a 2? A 6. But as we look down here, we can see there's only 1 triangle here and there's 3 to make up 1/2. So we can obviously see that our 1/6 is smaller than our 1/2. Alright, so back to our problem down here. Now that we have the same denominator, we know that we can add them so much easier now. So we have 3 and we have 1. So let's add those. 3 plus 1, we get 4. So we're keeping our same number of denominator. And to represent it also with our tiles, you can see that we get 4 triangles, and it takes 6 triangles to equal our whole. So we know that this is 4/6. So let's take this back and turn it and put it back into our problem. Of the cookies sold at Liz's Bakery, half were chocolate chip cookies and 1/6 were sugar cookies. What fraction of the cookies sold were chocolate chip and sugar cookies? Now we know that answer is 4/6. All right. So let's bring these all back up here. Now we're going to solve the same problem just using a different method, and we're going to call it the area model. We're going to use our grid paper over here to help us with that. So let's go back up to our question and read it again. Of the cookies sold at Liz's Bakery, half were chocolate chip cookies and 1/6 were sugar cookies. What fraction of the cookies sold were chocolate chip and sugar cookies? So let's think back. What were they asking us again? Yes, they're asking us to add our number of chocolate chip cookies, which we know is 1/2, with our number of sugar cookies, which we know is 1/6. Alright, so again with this method you need to decide what your whole is going to be. So I'm going to draw out a little rectangle here to represent our whole. Right up here on top so we know exactly what it looks like. And now we're going to draw up our 1/2. So let's draw us the same little rectangle here. This is our whole. And we need to go back and look at our numerator and denominator. So our denominator is 2, so we need to break our whole up into 2 pieces. So let's just put it right down the middle. There we go. And we're only interested in 1, so let's trade in 1 of our equal size pieces. So this represents 1/2. We're going to be adding that with, let's draw another hole here, our 1/6. So we need to divide our whole into 6 equal size pieces. So, here we go. Now we have 6 equal size pieces of our whole. And we're only interested in 1. So let's shade 1 in. But now, look, we have we have the same whole, but it's divided into 2 different numbers. So, we need to think if we can divide this whole into 6 pieces just like this one. They look the same, so why not? Let's try this. We're going to make our whole down here. We're going to divide it into 6 equal size pieces just like we did over here. And if we look back up here, this whole side is shaded in. So let's do the same down here. I'm going to shade in this whole side. And now let's go ahead and go back and count them. And we shaded in 1, 2, 3 of our 6 equal size pieces. So this is going to represent 3/6. And we're going to add that too, and we'll just bring this one down because it's already divided into 6 equal size pieces. Alright. So now we have the same number of equal size pieces for our whole. So now we just need to count the number of shaded units we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go ahead and shade those in on our equals. 2, 4. So now we can see that this represents 4 out of our 6 equal size pieces are shaded. So let's bring that back up to our question and fill it in here. What fraction of the cookies sold were chocolate chip and sugar cookies? We now know that half of the chocolate chip cookies plus 1/6 of the sugar cookies will give us 4/6 of the total cookies sold.